Hello everyone, my name is Gluchowski. I am the founder of zk-sync, and today I want to talk to you about the Elastic Network, explain what it is, where we are today, and share some exciting news from the last couple of weeks and show the direction where we're going. So, what is zk-sync? At zk-sync, we're building verifiable blockchain infrastructure for Ethereum. We're extending Ethereum with zero-knowledge proofs, we're scaling it, and we're adding more capabilities. Verifiability is what enables us to build systems that cannot be evil. And this is very critical to our long-standing mission of advancing freedom for everyone in the world through mass adoption of blockchains in the right way, such that you don't depend on humans in the loop and untrusted parties. And zk-sync journey started by building a single chain, zk-sync era, but we since expanded. We've quickly realized that the demand for general purpose chains is going to be far lesser than the demand for specialized infrastructure. There's going to be a multi-chain world where every app eventually might become its own app chain. Every enterprise will need its own chain. And thus, we open sourced our blockchain building framework as the zk-sync stack and offered it for others to build their own infrastructure. And then we expanded it with further things like zk-sync SSO, our embedded wallet, white-labeled front-end solution for these chains. We added zk-sync Previdium recently, the privacy solution. So we're working on a couple of other things that can be explained or described as the all-in-one platform. It's a full vertical integrated blockchain infrastructure platform with roll-up stack, fully integrated prover, fully integrated wallet, all the packaging of infrastructure from service providers, like roll-up as a service option, privacy, and also very importantly native interop protocol. So I'm going to talk about this. Today, the zk-sync ecosystem is powering more than 16 chains and more are in the works. The collection of these chains is what we call the Elastic Network. It's a never-expanding network of verifiable blockchains, natively connected and fully integrated. There are some consumer chains, there are some interesting financial chains, social applications like Lens, but the main focus for us today is on enterprises and institutions. Because with the recent developments in the US politics, I think it's clear that the financial institutions penetrating real-world businesses is the biggest opportunity we have in crypto in 2025. This is what enables us to move in, like, make crypto mainstream for real for the first time since the vision was born 10 years ago. And we're really excited about this. This is not to bypass our cypherpunk roots, but bring them and make institutions, enterprises, companies, governments verifiable, trustless, and turn them into systems that move from don't be evil principle to can be evil. We have a number of already integrated enterprise corporate chains that add up to over 300 million total addressable user market, with some of the largest exchanges in the world, some of the largest banks being built on zk-sync. There are more in the works that I cannot yet share. More things are coming here. And we are also the number two largest RWA ecosystem in the world today, second only to Ethereum, with over 2 billion RWA assets on zk-sync. And we're first and foremost a technology product company. We're having a very ambitious roadmap for this year, which we shared at the end of 2024. I'm happy to report that half of the roadmap has already been achieved, and the other half has made very substantial progress. And I want to focus on a couple of things that we announced just this last quarter in Q2 2025. The first upgrade was the EVM equivalence for zk-sync chains. This was a huge unblocker for the ecosystem. We initially started, I think we started very early working on zero-knowledge proofs. We exist for 7 years now, and we did not anticipate how fast the development of zero-knowledge, like the maturity, the progress in zero-knowledge proof space is going to be. So we initially assumed that to get to full EVM equivalence, it will take several years, and we started building specialized infrastructure with a special language, then EVM-compatible compiler. We are now at a point where everything can just work completely out of the box, and we shipped that, I think, 2 months ago for Era, and this is being rolled out for all the other zk-sync chains. We could use the developments of our compiler to make a bigger contribution to the entire Ethereum ecosystem, and we transformed our internal compiler from the Era VM backend into the EVM backend. And I'm happy to announce that we have the first ever fully functional end-to-end working LLVM compiler for Ethereum, which optimizes gas way better than humans do. You don't have to do inline assemblies anymore. And it produces EVM bytecode. It can be repurposed in the future to produce something more sophisticated, like RISC-V bytecode, once Ethereum fully embraces Vitalik's vision. And it has some really nice things, like we got rid of the stack to deep problem. If you're a developer in the space, you know how nasty the problem is. So please try it out. This is very interesting. We launched the zk-sync gateway, which paves the path for interoperability and much cheaper zero-knowledge proofs, and like lower costs for aggregation of the proofs in general. And then we have 2 really interesting things, and I'm going to start with Airbender. This is brand new. We announced this just last week. Airbender is the fastest, to the best of my knowledge, the fastest RISC-V zkVM improver in the world. At least for a fact, it's the fastest open source prover, the fastest prover that we could grab our hands on and try out. It by far exceeds the performance of the existing alternatives, although they are not even fully open source yet. Airbender is completely open source from the CPU prover, GPU prover, the entire infrastructure. And it enables us to prove use a single GPU to prove Ethereum block end-to-end in about 35 seconds on an average Ethereum block. So it varies from like 15 to 1 minute, but an average block is about half a minute. And this is a massive breakthrough. It has 5 big implications, which I want to focus on. Number 1 is this enables us this year, 2025, to reach the escape velocity for zk rollups in terms of costs. We're finally going to beat the optimistic rollups end-to-end on complete costs, from the proving, the maintaining the infrastructure, to also data availability, because with zk-sync, we're using the so-called state diff approach to data availability. We only publish the outputs of transactions, not the inputs. And for most transactions that are used on Ethereum, this means massive savings in terms of call data. But we still have this baseline proving cost of 1 cent or like slightly less than 1 cent per transaction. We're now going for 0.01 cent for an average transfer. And of course, it depends on how much gas you consume, but for an average transfer, it's roughly this amount. So we will be able to completely beat optimistic rollups, and then zk rollups are going to be the clear winner by the end of this year. The second implication is it paves the path towards home-proving Ethereum, and of course zk-sync chains. And this is a massive breakthrough, because there are maybe a few hundred large data centers in the world where you can be doing GPU proving, but there are hundreds of millions of spare GPUs in households around the world. If we can make proving really cheap, like really lightweight, without requiring a lot of coordination, we can distribute these jobs broadly. We're entering the age of zk abundance. The computing power is not limited anymore by what you can rent on fast AI or GCP or AWS. You can just send it, and we get rid of all the centralization concerns around proving. So we can finally be like living the Ethereum vision with full verifiability, getting to proof singularity, where Ethereum is fully verifiable, a succinct chain that can be verified on a single smartphone, like every single smartphone in the world, and proven really, really fast, cheap, abundantly on the home machines. The third implication is it offers a lot more freedom for the ZK app developers, for the builders of verifiable apps. And I believe that eventually every app will get upgraded, or almost every app will get upgraded to be a verifiable ZK app, because it always has some component that requires trust, and a lot of these components can be replaced by cryptography. So you can think of things like zk-TLS, Oracle data directly from the source providers that can be verified through zero-knowledge proofs, and then you produce the proof, and of course you have the privacy aspects in the apps and so on. And Airbender being the fastest open source prover by far, by a large margin, orders of magnitude faster than any nearest open source, fully open source alternative, released under Apache and MIT license, is a big unlock for ZK application developers. The first thing is privacy goes not just for the privacy is important not for the only for the end users, but for a lot of enterprise and institutional customers we're currently targeting, we're working with, and I think the Ethereum as a whole should be very, very actively going after these days. And a big problem they had was that the combination of zero-knowledge proofs and privacy was hard. Because if zero-knowledge proofs are expensive and to generate them, you either have to maintain your own data center with a cluster of GPUs, or you have to send your sensitive customer data into the cloud where you don't know if you can trust them. And of course, there are some workarounds like TEs, but they're clunky. They're not quite there, and they don't have the same guarantees as running your proofs on premises. And sometimes they just, like, regulatory concerns won't allow these companies to move and send data to someone who is not licensed, who does not have the same infrastructure, security, et cetera, et cetera. And this is why we're really, really excited about Previdium. So Previdium is one of the launches we also announced in the last couple of weeks. This is a modification of ZK Sync stack specifically for private confidential chains. So you can have a chain that is fully controlled by you, all aspects of the chain, including data availability. So you have the full control over the data flow. You don't have to disclose it to the world. You can selectively disclose it, for example, to your customers. If you're a bank and you're running your own private chain, you can nevertheless have full verifiability guarantees from Ethereum, because you're settling on Ethereum, and every single transaction is verified through the batched zero-knowledge proofs by the underlying settlement layer. And you also have interoperability with other private chains in a completely private manner, and with the public chains. So you have access to Ethereum liquidity, you have access to liquidity from other L2s, and so on. So this is a massive, massive unblock for institutions that enables use cases like bond issuance, foreign currency trading, cross-border payments, reuse of collateral, real-world assets, and so on and so on. Like, if we want crypto to go mainstream, privacy is an absolute must. And what Previdium enables is programmable privacy without custom specialized knowledge around special like domain-specific languages for privacy. You can program everything in plain EVM. You can have you can reuse the existing best practices, the existing libraries, all the tooling that already exists for EVM, and have full chain-level privacy control over your infrastructure. And the final piece of the final implication of Airbender is it's a quantum leap for what we call universal interop. It makes universal interop fast, and this is a really, really interesting aspect. So I want to focus on this a bit longer. Interop is the economic rail of crypto. All things, we can start with the basic premise. What we're building is really the internet of value. All things that touch value in any form will eventually go on chain, from payments to stocks to any kind of assets to any kind of property titles. And so it's going to be a massive multi-trillion dollar economy by 2030, but in the next couple of years. Cannot really project. But if we're building the internet of value, the logical consequence is the internet cannot run on a single server, and the internet of value won't run on a single chain. There will be a multi-chain world for various reasons, for technical reasons, but also for regulatory reasons, for business reasons. Different communities will want to have their own chains, and so on and so on. Every company will have its own chain. Every app will eventually probably have its own chain. And if we are going to live in a world of hundreds and thousands and more of chains, the interop really comes into forefront. Like, can you have the interop in the same way as we have interop on the internet, where every website is connected in one click to potentially any other website? And we can't. Today, with Ethereum, the existing solutions are either compromising trust, so you basically, you completely negate verifiability and blockchainness of the solutions with third-party custodial bridges, which are essentially multi-sigs, or they compromise speed and user experience. Everyone has tried to move funds with bridges. It's complicated. You have to think which network, where do I go, which bridge I use. It's a mess. And most importantly probably, it's limiting what you can do. So with bridges, the trust is the biggest problem. With something like Intense, which is the closest to what we have to solving this problem today, all you can do is send assets. So you can say, I want to swap this asset against some other asset, and then you still rely on someone to pass the messages that guarantee that something happened on the other chain, which you can kind of delegate to liquidity providers. They take the risk for you. But then in a trustless environment, all you can do is transfer funds, nothing else. So our vision for the Elastic Network, the very reason why Elastic Network was started in the first place, is this idea of universal interop. We see it as based on 3 pillars. It must be bridge-free, no trust assumptions, no capital parked and additional cost of capital, no extra trust assumptions other than the blockchains you're using. It must be universal. So basically, if I go back, bridge-free, universal, and instant, and I'll talk about them in detail. The bridge-free means no trust assumptions, no capital requirements. So the connectivity is basically, you want a room temperature superconductor for interop. You don't want friction. You don't want to be losing a percentage of value on every single hop, which is what's happening today with classic bridges, because you have to pay for the cost of capital that you deploy on every single chain that connects the bridges. And you want it fully trustless. You want to rely on cryptography and the properties of the blockchains and your self-verifiability of the systems rather than on someone else's multisig. Universal means that it should work for any type of action, any token, not just the most liquid and fungible tokens. It should work for NFTs. It should work for the entire long tail of shitcoins or some edge fringe tokens that are only used in specific environments to make it a fully seamless experience. And it should work for any chain. So it should work within the ecosystem, but it should also ideally expand beyond a closed ecosystem like an Elastic Network. And it should be fast. And what Airbender enables us to do is to connect every chain in the Elastic Network through a native interop protocol with close to 1 second latency. The way it works is every chain in the Elastic Network produces a proof of validity of the chain. And we can produce this proof now in under 1 second. If you go to the Airbender announcement, there is a fun little game deployed on our new testnet that is powered by Airbender. And transactions there confirm all in all, end to end, in 1 second. Like from the moment you submit it, through like inclusion in the block, to the block proof generation, to the settlement of this block. All in all, less than 1 second. And of course, those blocks are small, but they're supposed to be small. On zk-sync, where the new upgrade, which is coming, I think, next week, is bringing the latency, the block latency to 200 milliseconds. So they will be like closing very fast, and the proofs are fully parallelizable. So if you like, we're running this demo on just a few GPUs. Of course, you can provision as many GPUs as you need to like get to any latency that you're targeting. And this enables us to connect all the chains in a manner where you deploy once your application on a single chain, and then you can use it from anywhere with 1 second latency, without trust assumptions, and with full capital efficiency there. And yep, that's it. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions. Okay, no time for questions. Okay, I can meet you outside. Happy to answer that. Thank you all. Enjoy the lunch.